Hi, I'm Brogen Hayes, and you're watching One to Watch, the video review show where I tell you which one film to watch in Irish cinemas this week. So after a short break last week where I was horrifically sick and didn't do One to Watch, I'm glad to be back. This week's One to Watch is The Stag, an Irish comedy directed by John Butler. It's not the most perfect film that has come out this week, but it is an Irish comedy that shows Irish men in a completely different light, and I figured since this is an Irish video blog thing, that it would be worth promoting Irish film. The story of The Stag is Fionn, who's played by Hugh O'Connor, is getting married to Ruth, who's played by Amy Huberman, and he's very much the sort of new, trendy Irish man who's very involved in organising the wedding. He's very involved in all the detail and the planning of his and Ruth's new lives together. But she's insistent that he has the full pre-wedding experience and insists that he goes on a stag. He's reluctant, but he agrees in the end. He's taking his best friend Davin, played by Andrew Scott, and his brother and his brother's boyfriend, both called Kevin, along with him. And Ruth insists that her brother, known only as the Machine, goes along on the stag with them. The thing that's great about The Stag is Irish men tend to be portrayed as rough and tough and laddie. I mean, if you're looking at films like Intermission or I Went Down, or even to an extent The Guard, which is a crime film, a drugs film, Ireland sort of sometimes gets a little bit of a bad rap from Irish filmmakers. That's not to say that these facets of society aren't there, but it's not all there is to Ireland. So it's great to see a film like The Stag coming out where Irish men are portrayed as gentle and sensitive and caring and, you know, a little bit more like men that we know in our lives and men that we're friends with. Hugh O'Connor does a great job of playing a groomzilla as Fionn. He's very precious and he's very sort of twee and controlling about the wedding and everything else. Andrew Scott sort of balances him out as his best friend Davin, who's a little bit less tightly wound about the whole situation. Brian Gleeson turns up as a guy called Simon, who's a friend of Fionn's as well. He's, again, quite tightly wound, but all of these men have their suffering, which is slowly revealed throughout the course of the film. Of course, there's a very funny sequence where Brian Gleeson, Simon, confesses that he doesn't really like you two, much to the chagrin of the Machine, who is very much this rough and tough Irish lad, and the comedy comes basically from putting the Machine in a situation with these more gentle and metrosexual lads. The Machine wants to do shots and he wants to have a mad weekend, where the lads are more like, no, we'll go into the wilderness and we'll camp and we'll get in touch with our feelings. And the comedy comes from the clash of cultures between the two sets of people. Like I say, The Stag isn't perfect, but there is a lot to love in there, not least showing Irish men in a more favourable light, as there's plenty to laugh at, there's plenty of comedy. And there's plenty of sweetness in there as well. I mean, Andrew Scott gets to sing Raglan Road, which is a beautiful rendition of the song. Out of 10, I would give The Stag 7. Like I say, it's not perfect, but it's a refreshing change for Irish film to show, first of all, really good comedy, and second of all, to show Irish men as warm and rounded characters. Until next week, I've been Brogen Hayes, and this has been One to Watch.